Hello everyone, I am Preet and welcome to Relevant Myths. Out of all the cultures and mythologies in the world, India has the biggest and widest collection of texts and scriptures. Today, we'll discuss these texts which are significant to Indian mythology and what we today know as Hinduism. Now, even though I don't agree with the title, for the purpose of simplicity, we'll call these texts Hindu texts. Now, there are so many Hindu texts that people get intimidated by them and they don't know how to link and classify them, which is exactly what we'll be doing in today's video. Now, a disclaimer before beginning that because of the living nature of these texts, which means that there are multiple versions of the same story because things keep getting added or changed as time passes, it is almost impossible to classify them under hard boundaries. There are many irregularities and contradictions between various versions of the text regarding their origin, authorship, and even what's in the text. So take the minute details of the classification with a grain of salt. The purpose of this video is to educate you with these texts so that they can be classified and you can know how they are connected with each other. So if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of this stuff, then maybe I'll make some videos about them in the future, or you can do some research by yourself. But this video will be a macro classification. Also, links for all the information that I share in these videos are always in the description, so you can check them out whenever you want to do some extra research. Now, take a pen and paper for writing notes because you are going to need it. This is going to get real complicated. So, let's begin. Hindu scriptures can be divided into two parts, Shruti texts and Smriti texts. Shruti means that which is heard and Smriti means that which is remembered. Shruti texts are the primary Hindu texts. They are considered authorless and most authoritative among all texts. Smriti texts are the secondary texts which are considered less authoritative than the Shruti texts. Smriti texts are considered to have one or many authors. Now the classification between Shruti and Smriti is a bit complicated, but in short we can say that the Vedas are Shruti and everything else is Smriti. The Vedas are the primary Hindu scriptures. They are the oldest of all texts and all other texts are in some way derivative of the Vedas, which is why they are called Shruti and considered most important. There are four Vedas: Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharvaved. All four Vedas then further consist of four different types of texts which, when combined together, make up the Vedas themselves. These four types of texts are Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas and Upanishads. Firstly, Samhitas. The word Samhita means put together or joined. So, any text with a collection of verses can be called Samhita, but in literary terms, the name is widely used to denote mantras in the Vedas, which are used for denoting prayers for the Vedic deities and which contain some sacred chants. Samhitas are the oldest part of the Vedas, thus making them some of the oldest Indian literature in general. Next, the Brahmanas. The word Brahmanas means explanation of sacred knowledge. They are the second layers attached to the Samhitas, which instruct the Brahmin priests on how to conduct a specific ritual. They also explain the Vedic knowledge of astronomy and geometry. Each Ved has one or more Brahmanas in them. Rigved has Aitiriya Brahman and Kaushitaki or Samkhyan Brahman. Yajurved has Shatapatha Brahman and Taitiriya Brahman. Samved has Prod or Panchavimsha Brahman and Chandogya Brahman. And Atharvaved has Gopath Brahman. Many other Brahmanas are also mentioned, but most have been lost in time. Next, the Aranyakas. The word Aranya means forest, and so the word Aranyak means belonging to the forest. Aranyakas are the third layer which explain the meaning of the ritual which is performed by the Brahmin priests. Each Ved has one or more Aranyakas. Rigved has Aitiriya Aranyak and Kaushitaki Aranyak. Yajurved has Taitiriya Aranyak, Maitrayanya Aranyak, Katha Aranyak and Brihad Aranyak. Samved has Talavkar or Jaiminiya Aranyak, and Atharvaved has Gopatharanya. And finally, Upanishads. The word Upanishad means sitting down near, which refers to a student sitting down near the Guru in order to gain knowledge from him. The Upanishads are also called Vedant, and they discuss philosophy and explain the spiritual concept of the Vedas. They are most popular of all Shruti texts and have influenced Indian mythology as well as many other Hindu texts. There are almost 200 known Upanishads, but only 10 of them are considered main or Mukhya Upanishads. Rigved has Aitiriya Upanishad, Yajurved has Isha Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Samved has Kena Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad, and Atharvaved has Prashna Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad. These 4 types of texts can further be classified into Gyan Kand and Karma Kand. Aranyakas and Upanishads are considered Gyan Kand or knowledge oriented because they explain and discuss the rituals and philosophies stated in the Vedas, while Samhitas and Brahmanas are considered Karma Kand or action oriented as they are the chants and instructions which are performed by the priest in order to actually do the ritual. Thus, the 4 Vedas and these 4 types of texts embedded in the Vedas are Shruti. So now let's discuss Smriti texts. Everything other than the Vedas is considered Smriti. All Smriti texts are in some way or another influenced by the Vedas. Smriti texts are a wide range of texts which cover various subjects like the stories of Devas, Asuras and humans, other mythology, philosophy, politics, taxation, diplomacy, education, warfare, martial arts, medicines, architecture, gemology, metallurgy, language, grammar, metrics, food and agriculture, love, sex positions, geography, physics, chemistry, biology, cosmology, and genealogy, and infinite other things also which I wasn't able to mention here. So let's classify the main Smriti types. First are the Vedangs. Vedangs mean limbs of the Vedas. Vedangs explain the structure, sounds, and grammar of the Vedas. Vedangs were introduced because the Sanskrit used in the Vedas was becoming too ancient for new people to understand. There are 6 Vedangs. Siksha, which explains phonetics and pronunciation. Chand, which explains poetic meters. Vyakaran, which explains grammar and linguistic analysis. Nirukt, which explains etymology and meaning of words. Kalp, which explains ritual instructions. And Jyotish, which explains astrology and astronomy. Next is Itihas. Itihas includes the 2 Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. They are the 2 most popular and most influential of all Hindu texts. The word Itihas means so indeed it was. Now this is different from the Hindi word Itihas, which means history. In Sanskrit, Itihas means that the author of the story was present during the events of the story. Ratnakarda Valmiki, or just Sage Valmiki in short, who wrote the Ramayana, was a character in the Ramayana. Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas, or Ved Vyas in short, who wrote the Mahabharata, was a character in the Mahabharata. Next, the Puranas. Puran comes from the word Puratan, meaning old. Puranas are primarily the stories of gods, demons and humans with high usage of symbolism and metaphors, but they also cover a wide array of topics such as lineages of kings and saints, folk tales, philosophy, grammar, morality, astronomy, astrology, etc. All Puranas are said to be written by Ved Vyas, but unlike the Mahabharata, the Puranas are not considered Itihas because Ved Vyas himself wasn't present during the events of the stories of the Puranas. Now, Puranas can be broadly divided into 2 types, the Mahapuranas and the Upapuranas. There are 18 Mahapuranas which we will classify on the basis of what topic is prominently discussed in each of them. Now a side note here that many titles of these Puranas are actually really misleading and have no relation with the content inside them. Like Agni Puran has nothing to do with Agni Dev. Vaman Puran, which has its name from the 5th avatar of Vishnu, is actually a Shiva text and mostly focuses on Shaivism and Shiva stories. Now, this is the kind of chaos that we only find in India and Indian things. It's fascinating as hell, but also very inconvenient and misleading at the same time. So, we will classify these Puranas on the basis of which god or goddess has the most focus in them. Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, or are they neutral? Here, neutral means that either there is equal focus on many gods or no god is the focus of the Puran. So, the Shiv focused Puranas are the Shiv Puran, Skand Puran, Ling Puran, and Vaman Puran. Vishnu focused Puranas are Vishnu Puran, Padma Puran, Bhagavad Puran, Brahma Vaivart Puran, Naradya Puran, and Garud Puran. Devi focused Puranas are Devi Bhagavad Puran, Markandeya Puran, and Brahmand Puran. And impartial or neutral Puranas are Agni Puran, Brahma or Adi Puran, Matsya Puran, Kurma Puran, Varaha Puran, Vayu Puran, and Bhavishya Puran. Next are Sutras and Shastras. Sutras and Shastras are texts which focus on a large variety of topics. Texts which focus on the concept of Dharma are called Dharma Sutras and Dharma Shastras. The 4 surviving Dharma Sutras are Apastambh Dharma Sutra, Gautam Dharma Sutra, Bodhayan Dharma Sutra, and Vasishtha Dharma Sutra. And the 4 major Dharma Shastras are Manu Smriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti, Narad Smriti, and Vishnu Smriti. Then there are texts discussing Artha, for example, Artha Shastra by Chanakya. Then there are texts discussing Kam, like Kam Sutra, Rati Rahasya or Kok Shastra, and Anangaranga. Then there are texts discussing Moksha, for example, Vivek Chudamani. There are also many other texts discussing Bhautik Shastra, Rasayan Shastra, Jeev Shastra, Vastu Shastra, Shilpa Shastra, Niti Shastra, and Agama Shastra. Other scriptures such as Kavyas, Bhashyas, and Nibans also come under Smriti. So, all these types of texts and various others which I haven't been able to mention all come under Smriti texts. So, this was the video, everyone. You guys tell me what are your thoughts about this. Comment your views down in the comment section below. Please like the video and share it to your friends and family. Subscribe to Relevant Myths and hit the bell icon in order to get more such insights, stories, and trivia from the unending world of Indian culture and mythology. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.